I make wild promises. Like, I will sell your home in 7 days or I'll buy it. And then that gets me the appointment. And once I'm there, whatever caveats or asterisks that I got to put on that to protect myself,
Yeah.
I will put it in.
Yeah.
But like, marketing is about getting people fired up. They're like, hey, I want that 7-day cash offer. And I'm like, perfect, let's do it. Tell me more about your situation. Make a crazy offer, generate leads, and get really good at listening and solving problems.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And as many of you know, I love bringing people on here that love to play bigger. And my guest definitely does that. He's an agent, a real estate investor, and owns several companies. And he teaches agents how to buy homes across the country. And today we're talking all things about why agents should become investors and the key things that you need to know. So welcome to the show, Templeton Walker.
What's up? Good to be here.
I'm so glad that you are here. You are a wealth of knowledge. So first things first is like, what inspired you to get into real estate and then into investing? Because very few agents actually do that.
So I had a son early in college playing basketball. I really floundered from 18 to 25. I had a lot of promise, didn't really know where to put it. Had like 35 different jobs. I'm not exaggerating on that. I think it was 34. So it was crazy. I was unemployable. I didn't realize I was an entrepreneur, but my aunt, who is a successful realtor in Prescott, her name's Cindy Lee Davies. If anyone ever has a Prescott referral, send it to her. Yeah. She's amazing. She was like, Temp, you got to get into real estate. Your charisma, your personality, the way you are with people, you would crush. So I took to it fast, and she paid for real estate school. I paid her back on my first deal. And I had never really found much success up until that 25. And I think my second or third month, I made like 17, 18 grand. And I was like, I'm doing this. And then, so I did what many of us do, where you get really good as a solo, you start a team. I became a big team leader. At the time, this was like 12 and 13. If you were selling 50, 60, 70 million, like, you were a big team. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that. But like, the dirty secret is you're on stage and everyone's calling you like this young rock star, but you're not making that much money, because once you're running a team, if you don't stay in production, it's not that profitable. And I was like, how can I do this? And I started seeing the investment side, but I wasn't participating. And there was this deal, I was making like 15 grand, and the investor that did the deal was making 150. And I was like, what does he do? Like, I'm a firm believer that, like, if someone else is doing it, I'm never a hater. I'm like, oh, that's possible. Like, they're just showing me it's possible. So I started to really understand wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold. And that was probably 2-3 years into my career. So that was probably 2015, 2016. And since then, I've done probably over 1,000 off-market transactions. I own a portfolio of 36 homes right now. I've vertically integrated 4 or 5 companies that, it's traditional, it's investment, it's the education, title, lending, and then you're at Real Broker as well. The catch-all on the bottom of that is a network effect at Real. So it's been really good.
That's awesome. So talk to me about the first investment. I know a lot of agents get really nervous and really scared to like invest, right? How did that turn out? What made you say like, heck yes, I'm going to freaking do this, even if it turns like blue,
So for me, I think the gateway drug, for lack of a better word, is wholesaling. Because you're able to go provide value to the marketplace without necessarily providing your own capital. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer. I have a saying where I tie your little boat to a bigger boat. So at the time, I found one of the top guys in town. I'm sure you know Jamil. He's a great friend of mine. And I got really good at finding deals. So that was like one ingredient, but I didn't know how to cook the cake. So I would just bring him the ingredient and be like, I'll split the money with you. Help me make these possible. So I really just started finding deals and understanding how to underwrite and make offers and figure out what max allowable offer was. And I'd make a ton of offers, and I'd catch a few fish, and I'd take him the fish, and I didn't realize he was just dispositioning them, and he had a network that he could sell, but we'd split the money. So I did that for probably a whole year, and it was great. I made a ton of money. Jamil made a ton of money. I made a lifelong friend, and I didn't have to use any of my own capital, right? So I say that to say, I think a lot of people overthink it. Like, oh my God, I got to have hundreds of thousands of dollars. In that year, I think I made an extra like 300 grand. and I was still running my team. And I was like,
Right.
it pretty much matched my earnings of this big machine
Mm-hmm.
that was like a pain in the ass. I was like, all right, what am I doing?
Right.
So as I started to have additional capital, though, I realized a great wholesale deal is typically a great fix and flip. And a great wholesaler fix and flip is usually a great buy and hold, especially when we were in our low rate environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to cherry pick some rentals. I started to do my own fix and flips because I actually had capital. And I was like, okay, I can go make the extra 50 grand and not just wholesale this for 10 to 15 grand. So that's how it got going. And I think one of my favorite books is Dan Sullivan, Who Not How. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
know how, you need to know who. And in this case, it was Jamil for me. And now I've become that big boat that many people tie to, and they bring me an ingredient. I cook the cake, my team and I, and we split the money.
Yeah.
So I just had an agent last week. He sent me a deal, a probate deal. I moved it for 50,000. He's going to get a check for 25 grand. All he did was send me an address.
Yeah.
So it's
I absolutely love this topic so much because there's so much opportunity. And I think when we get our real estate license, we think only transactional, we
yeah,
think only commission, but then we've helped along the way. If you've been in real estate for a while, you have helped investors. And then you see some of the HUDs or you see what they're making, and you're like, wow, I found them the deal. And
yeah,
I'm looking at the HUD and looking at my commission versus what they're making, right?
yeah,
And so you've done thousands of transactions. You've
yeah,
helped hundreds of agents, right? Do you do this by yourself or do you do this with a team? And you talked about noise earlier, like
yeah,
offline with a retail team. Now, that's a lot of transactions. And I'm
yeah.
sure you have a life, you have a family, beautiful family. So what does your team look like today?
Okay, so 19 to 22, me, Miguel, and Rodolfo, my business partners. It's now just me and Miguel. Rod moved back to Mexico, get engaged, and that's where he's from originally. So that made sense because our market started to turn. But the three of us built like a machine. We had cold callers overseas, 10 acquisition, 3 or 4 admin. It was like a full thing. We would have to go do about 150 a month before we'd make any profit. So it was like a true operation. And we won at a high level. Like we made tremendous money. We were at one point, we had a slogan called a deal a day. So we'd do a deal every single day. And that was great. But then June of 22, the market turned on us. And I remember sitting at a beautiful house in La Jolla overlooking the ocean with my wife. And I looked at her, I was like, hey, hon, I think I got to work again. Because the way I set it up was like I had a big brand and reputation that created a lot of opportunity.
Mhm.
Miguel and Rod were coming up through the ranks. They had all the skill and hunger and knowledge and know-how, but they hadn't really like hit that level yet. So
Mhm.
the agreement was, hey, y'all are going to probably work 2, 3, 4 times as hard as me, but we're going to own this together. I'll bring opportunity. You guys do the work. So they were grinding during those years while I was chilling. I had 2 new daughters in those years. I was watching Coco Melon hang. But we got caught with our hand in the cookie jar June of 22. I had 32 flips going, many of them luxury, probably a dozen million plus, a $5 million flip, a $3 million flip.
Wow.
It was a whole thing. So had to kind of divest from that, but it was a blessing. So the question was, what does my team look like now? I had to like
Compress.
shrink down
Mhm.
quickly
Mhm.
and descale to not just burn through capital because my team at that point, we could go buy all the houses. We couldn't sell them. So it
Right.
made no sense to go contract all these homes if we couldn't get them moved.
Right.
So now it's just Miguel and I. So let me just say this. So there's Realtor Doctors at the top of the funnel, which me and Miguel own.
Mhm.
Then we have MTV Group, which is me and Miguel, and it's really an acquisition company. And that's what we teach realtors is like how to acquire deals. Because people say, what's a wholesale? What's a fix and flip company? What's a sub two company? I'm like, those aren't companies. Those are exit strategies.
Mhm.
None of it matters unless you get the lead. Like you got to get the deal.
Correct. Yeah.
So we have the
You got to
acquisition
convert the
company.
lead.
So from there, you got to get that lead and convert it. And then that might be a listing. That might
Right.
be a creative deal. That might be a wholesale. So Miguel and I own that. So we have, and then we teach realtors how to do that. Then we own the title company. We own the lending company. We own our portfolio of rentals. And then we're at Reels. All of that now only operates with me and Miguel in the one spot. We have our executive assistant and TC, Kim D'Armand, who's amazing. We have Nick Frisky, who sits in an acquisition seat, and that's it.
And he's just looking for deals, or is he?
Yeah, so we do agent outreach. He only does agent outreach, and we have a full system around that. And I think right now we have 14 deals under contract, and probably 6 of them are through agent outreach.
That's
So
amazing.
it works, right? So there's 6 figures of revenue sitting there just through the system.
I love it.
And the agreement is still stands. Miguel's definitely working more than I, so I'll bring deals in and then he'll help me solve them. Kim will help me solve them. And I'm working probably a couple hours a day.
I love it. I love it. So if somebody was to, that's listening right now, or that's watching this on YouTube, if they were looking to get into this, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give them?
One, I would get licensed. A lot of people don't want a real estate license when they're thinking of investing because they think it's going to like hamstring them somehow. And I actually think it's a blessing because really all it does is make you disclose. And when I first started investing in wholesaling, I remember feeling like I'm super faithful. You'll see like I have the Virgin Mary here and praying hands here. And I think I'm going to meet the big guy someday. And I don't want him thinking I'm down here stealing houses. So what my license does and my morals and my ethics do is they force me to disclose and say, hey, Raquel, you got to know your home's worth 500 grand if you make it look like this. And as is today with fees, it's this, and a cash offer today is this, and terms would be this. When someone meets with me, what I do and what I teach is just to give the whole menu of options. So now they can make an educated decision on whatever's best for them. And I just think that, I think when you do that, you can operate with a lot of integrity. You can make money 5 different ways. And that real estate license now allows you, like worst case scenario, you walk out with a listing.
Right.
Like worst
You get
case.
a commission check. Yeah.
And that's what I teach is I really teach, I teach agents to start as an investor first. So to your warm audience, your sphere of influence, you should be making sure everyone knows you're a realtor. You should run that traditional kind of, do you remember the core Rick Ruby training? Like I still run a VIP top 50 and you should hold monthly happy hour and you should have quarterly events and you should call your past clients. You should do all the traditional realtor stuff.
Right.
But to cold traffic, they don't give a shit that you're a realtor. Their mom's a realtor, their brother's a realtor, their wife's a realtor. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
But if they have an asset to sell and they say, hey, Raquel, nice to meet you. What do you do? And you say, oh, I actually buy houses across the valley. And they go, interesting. I have a house to sell. Perfect. I want to buy it. Like, tell me more. In that discovery process. So now I hooked you, right? I hooked you with something way more attractive than, oh, I'm a realtor, which if they have a house to sell, they might be interested, maybe, but it's not that sexy of an offer. But when I just say, hey, I buy houses with cash across the valley and I help people just trade their assets way more conveniently for cash. Now they're like, because it's like a first date when you want to tell someone all the things that you're great about, which is like overwhelming. It's like, dude, I get it. I'm just trying to see if you're like hot and I want to hang out one more time. Like what are we doing? Like, chill. We're just trying to be attractive.
Right.
Right. And that cash offer is like, yo, I can do that. But then, Raquel, what happens in there is you say, hey, sounds like your home's amazing. And my cash offer would only be like 350. Let's go put this on the market for 500. Even after my fees, you're going to make 170,000 extra dollars.
Yeah.
I think that's a better thing for you. I mean, I'm happy to give you the 350. I'm ready to, but let's go sell this for you. Right. So now when you pivot from investor to agency, so much smoother. It feels like much more of a fiduciary, which is our goal, right? Because when you do come in as a realtor and you're saying, hey, let's take it to market, and then you do realize it's a motivated, distressed, the bank's going to take their home next Friday, and you go, oh, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
It feels much more predatory.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And the market constantly changes, right? Like you said, in 22, it had stopped. So how do you forecast or predict? I mean, everybody wants to have a crystal ball, right? So you don't get caught up in it. Does your strategy change as the market shifts?
Yeah. So for me, I realize I'm always paying for coaching and trying to level up my wealth creation and my habits. And what I realized, what I did wrong in 22 is I got really good at making money, but I didn't have a decision matrix around what I do with my money and how much risk I'm willing to take. So like I lost probably $2 million of cash from June of 22 till end of 23 because I had to just dump properties. You'll see on my wrist now, it says liquidity matters. I got wealthier somehow in that time.
Yeah.
And I had never felt so stressed because I was out of cash. And it's like when you're playing Monopoly, like you don't win the game by mortgaging, right?
Yep.
So you don't want to sell a rental. Like I have a nice portfolio that kept ascending, but I was out of money and it was just exhausting. So as the market turns, I wish I would have had better habits and decision making around my cash. So I have, first and foremost, I have what's called a SWAN number, my sleep well at night number. I'm happier. I operate better when I have a little pile of cash that I know is mine. And some people will say, hey, it's not optimized. You should get that into lending. And sure, but I need X amount of dollars for
You need
me,
your
which is
threshold.
my SWAN number. That's
Yeah.
I start with that. I make sure that I know my cash flows and I know my expenses. I run as lean as possible now. So like before I would scale through people and through obligation and now I'm like, no, like my whole little thing runs on 5Gs a month. So I can do one deal and now I'm profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, Raquel, a really good life, as long as I live where I want, I drive what I want, we eat what we want, we travel where we want, it costs like 30 grand a month, which is a lot of money, but it's not compared to what I earn, humbly, I guess I'd say.
Right.
And so as much as I want, most people say, I want to make $1 million. That's $83,333 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But if the exact life I want is 30 grand a month, why am I going to go trade my hours for the extra 53? I want that money. Sure, I'll take it. But I am very clear on what I'm willing to do to now have extra money that I know all I'm going to do with it is save and invest.
Yeah.
So I've created very clear principles and structure for what I'm willing to do, how much risk I'm willing to take. One of my favorite quotes is, I was risking money I didn't want to lose for money I didn't need to make. And that in flipping was like that for me. Like my main business already clips like $1 million, but I wanted to go make another $1 million. So I risk a bunch of this cash to go make the second $1 million when the second $1 million doesn't even really, I don't even do anything with it. I just buy like crypto and dumb shit. It doesn't even change my life. So like, why am I putting that stress on me? So, and then a more pointed answer for what agents could do is you have to be like, I don't care who's in office. I don't care what the market's doing. It's you.
Yep.
And I have been super broke with a Democratic office. I have been super rich with a Democratic office. I've been super broke with a Republican. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all predicated on me.
Correct.
And I've done really well in a high inventory market, a low inventory market, and vice versa. At the end of the day, if you show me your habits, I'll show you your life. And if people are willing to just get really good at being the best version of themselves, they'll end up being a great investor and a great realtor.
Yeah.
But the simple thing would be figure out how to have an irresistible offer. I think most realtors and investors are afraid of making crazy promises. Like I make wild promises. Like I will sell your home in 7 days or I'll buy it. And then that gets me the appointment. And once I'm there, whatever caveats or asterisks that I got to put on that to protect myself, I will put it in.
Yeah.
But like marketing is about getting people fired up. They're like, hey, I want that 7-day cash offer. And I'm like, perfect, let's do it. And I'm like, hey, so I have to 30% under market value.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't want to do that. I'm like, hey, since I'm here, I wouldn't want you to do that either. Tell me more about your situation. Make a crazy offer, generate leads, and get really good at listening and solving problems. Every market, you can do that.
Yeah, you talked about habits, and I think that's so key and so important as you're even growing or scaling a business. What's one habit that you've sustained over your journey that has served you really well?
Chilling out on drinking. I was like, wow. I think it's self-awareness, right? Like,
right.
Is my life better? Because 9 out of 10 times, if we drink, I'm like the best time ever. Like everyone's having the greatest night ever. 1 out of 10 times, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was just saying temp because I had this cycle where I would be like, oh my God, it would build up and I'd be like, I need to have a night.
Yeah.
I've earned this, or, oh my God, the stress, the pressure of being temp or having all these people counting on me.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like actually an elimination habit. And then like now if you wanted a really great Friday night with me, I'm in my cold plunging sauna, which is just on the other side of that wall. I'm doing like weirdo breathing shit. I go to the gym and lift. I hang out with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
I grill some food. I stretch in the pool.
Yeah.
I've just made my life something I really enjoy. I think if you love your days, you'll win.
I think what you have shared with us today, and it's very, very prominent in the things that you've said, is you've figured out a way as far as your lifestyle goes, but everything around it is still a system. And I truly believe that you can't scale anything without systems,
Yeah.
right? So, what's one system, tools, app that you could probably give to our audience today that has helped you grow so much?
So simple. So with our real estate license, we get an app called RPR.
Hmm.
I comp and buy every house from my phone. Like I buy 10 to 15 houses a month on RPR. And
Yeah.
so you send me an address. You say, hey, Temp, what can you pay for 123 Main Street? I'm like, hey, you got any pictures? What's close of escrow? Any post possession? Anything weird? Great. I punch that in RPR. I pull the comps. It's not rocket science. I'm like, cool, this is 1,800 square feet. I don't cross major roads. I stay in the subdivision. And I'm like, one just traded at 520, one's at 480, one's at 490, one's at 510. I don't know. My gut tells me that's a 500 house.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me it's a 520. I want to tell you it's a 480. It's probably a 500 house.
Yeah.
Simple math, times that by 65%. That's your buy price.
Yeah.
And so that RPR app, and then, but I don't work a ton anymore, right? So now that lead gets sent to me. It gets sent to my underwriting chat with Nick and with Miguel.
Mhm.
They go do all that math. They
Yeah.
copy a text to me of what they want me to say back to my relationship, and I make an offer. So I'm not having to actually go do that. Or if it's like a close deal and they're like, Temp, we need your eyes on this. Like, we don't want to risk earnest money, or we don't want to buy this without you taking a look. Okay, I'll jump in and boom. If it's a big $1 million plus $2 million deal, I'm going to jump on my computer. I'm going to get in Monsoon and I'm going to dig a little deeper. But people make shit too complicated.
Yeah.
Like, I just chill on my phone, make Instagram videos, make sure everyone that's ever known me knows that I buy houses, I comp houses, I make offers. That's it.
Yeah. I agree that people do make things complicated. And I also know that you actually have the work ethic and know where to actually place your time to
Yeah.
multiply it by a long shot.
Have you ever heard we should be working like lions and not cows? Have you ever heard that?
No.
Okay, so cows, like, to eat, they just graze all day, right?
Yeah.
They're putting in that 8 to 5 behind the desk.
Yeah.
A lion chills and then sprints real quick and kills a gazelle.
Yeah.
And is eating, and I know a cow doesn't even want a gazelle, but for the analogy,
Yeah.
they're about to eat so good
Yeah.
because they put in max effort. So we should be sprinting. So for me, I will have a few moments today where I have to sprint towards a problem. It could take me 2 minutes. It could take me 10 minutes. It could take me an hour, but I sprint. And then I don't act like a cow all day and be like looking for grass or looking for work. Like, I just did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I actually got to meet somebody over the weekend that does exactly that and has a warehouse in Gilbert or Chandler. And inside that warehouse is just a collection just for fun. Doesn't sell any of the cars. $50 million worth in this warehouse.
That's
50
insane.
million. That's insane, right? The guy still probably works, buys and sells companies, right? And so that analogy, I was like, that was so eye-opening to meet somebody in person this is just a collection. This is just, it just sits here. And like people come and visit this garage all day long, but I'm done at 1, but I'm making things happen from 4 o'clock to 1. And that's
for me, it's 9 to 1. Every day is 9 to 1.
But that's by choice for him, right? Like, and has properties all over, right? So it's fascinating that you say that, because people, as you scale up or as you want this big life, is you really got to figure out like what should need your attention.
Yeah. And then I think having clarity on a plan is big.
Right.
Like, I met with a traditional money manager, which I've never used because I just buy assets and I get the cash flow. He was like, he sees all sorts of affluent people. Mm-hmm. And he was like, Temp, I've never seen someone your age with your output. Like, my ability to earn is insane. So if you let's just say you can go do $1 million a year, the 83. Let's just use that for simple math. Mm-hmm. And you go live on 30 and you save, hopefully you're buying assets and you're not paying a ton of taxes. But so now you have 50 a month that if you just put that into some vehicle and allow it to compound, you are so rich at the end of that. So rich. If you just let math and time do its thing.
Yep.
So, and that's on a million a year. So I just, when these people are like, oh my God, I got to solve it all right now. And dude, you need 25, 30 grand a month right now. Go live on, enjoy.
Yeah.
Anything in the Delta,
Go
sock it away,
invest it.
save and
Yeah.
invest. And you're going to be
Dispose
good.
it.
And too many people catch all this anxiety and, oh, I'm not there yet. And so you're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. We've talked about a lot of things, and I know that your time is super limited.
I have a 10. Let's go for 4 more minutes.
Well,
it was the snafu in the beginning. I was chilling in the waiting room for 15.
I know, and this is getting so good. But so what's next for Templeton or
right. Tempe, Templeton.
He owns a whole city, by the way, in Arizona. If you haven't visited, it's called Tempe.
Tempe was never weird till I moved to Phoenix, by the way. That's what my family calls me. And I'd be like, I'm Tempe. And people are like, no, we're looking in Scottsdale. I'd be like, just call me Templeton. All right. Okay. So I've built this large portfolio of houses that create cash flow.
Right.
Been such a blessing, but it's CapEx, it's loans, it's evictions, it's ACs, it's attorneys, it's LLC structure.
Right.
And that sits between 15 to 20 a month for me right now. Okay. I've been at Real for a little less than 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm earning similar money every month, passively, cash flow, without all the 10 years of work and loans. And I'm like, oh, it's just a superior vehicle. I'm just over here. Like, if you're a productive realtor, mathematically, you should be at Real. Just the math makes more sense. Culturally, that's just a freaking cherry on top. Leadership. Yeah. Okay, great. But mathematically, you show me something that not pie in the sky. You don't got to go sell some dog shit company, like something you actually believe in. Most of the time, people are calling you and asking you about it. And you invite people to that party. My rev share has almost exceeded my rental portfolio cash flow. That's insane.
That's insane.
And if you really want freedom, you need money that comes in with or without you.
Yep.
So
whether you breathe.
So I land on that. So anyone watching this, if you're freaking coming to Real, you hit up Raquel or me. What's great is we could co-sponsor and you get in the system and you start participating in something that makes sense. Right. I think people sit on the sidelines too long because they're like, not me. Or I'm like, bro, it's
extra money. Yeah. It's still early. It's extra money for what you already do.
Do you know most attorneys make like 180 to 250?
Yeah.
My rev share is an attorney. I went to college for a semester, Raquel. And my extra is like what these people, I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's only going to grow. So that was the last point I want to make. So what's next for me? My avatar is realtors. If you're a realtor, you either send me deals. If you want to know how I do it, you could pay for realtor doctors. And then if you want to get in Real and be in my network, great. Those are the 3 things I have. Outside of that, I say no to pretty much everything.
Amazing. And where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? We'll also put it in the show notes.
Templeton_Walker on Instagram.
By the way, if you don't follow him, you should follow him because he's probably one of the funniest people that I follow.
Great follow. I would say I'm a good follower. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just IG, and then send me real estate deals. I'll underwrite them. I'll give you offers. If you want to know what I know, go to Realtor Doctors. And if they want to party at Real, they should co-sponsor with me and you.
Awesome. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every single guest on the show is, what does Templeton do to play bigger, either in business or in life?
I went on a guided mushroom journey last month. I took a hero dose of psilocybin mushrooms. And I thought a guide was like a lifeguard, like where human temp doesn't kill himself. No, he's in your soul with you. I have never shown up better in my life these last 4 weeks. And there's these beautiful treasures that you find in your heart that are hard to apply. And I call it the window people world. That's where we're at. Mm-hmm. And my goal is to keep showing up as that sweet and kind and pure best self that I know I am in a world that wants you to conform into a window person. I know that's a really abstract answer, but hopefully it makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I just truly want to thank you for your time, sharing your knowledge today with our community. Go follow Templeton, and I want to keep supporting you in playing bigger, my friend.
Thanks, Raquel.